On this episode of Barely Stable, we're going to talk about
lost discs. What to do if you lose yours. What to do if you find someone else's.
We'll talk about the Texas Loop and our fantasy disc golf update with me, the commish.
woo and tanking rounds. Should you just DNF? What the
All that and more on this episode of the Barely Stable podcast. Stay with us.
Welcome to Barely Stable, an intermediate level podcast.
Hosted by Daniel Freeberg and Nick Barr. Produced by Daniel Rigdon. Studio engineer Trevor Williamson. A cool disc golf podcast for intermediate players. This is the Barely Stable podcast.
Live from beautiful Austin, Texas, this is the Barely Stable podcast. We're ready to BS. Here are your Barely Stable hosts, Daniel Freeberg and Nick Barr.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Barely Stable podcast. We're here in episode 14. With me, as always, Mr. Daniel Freeberg. How are we doing today?
Doing great. Welcome, everybody. Episode 14. That's a real deal. 2 digits.
14. We're into 14. You know what they say? Most podcasts don't make it past episode 7. We've doubled that.
Doubled that. Big part because we got the boy back in the booth. Daniel Rigdon.
What's up?
Welcome. Holding it down. Trevor is...
Trevor's on the road. We're going to
on the
send... we'll add a picture in here, but you'll probably spot him in coverage. I've screenshotted him a few times now. He was actually right there front and center when Annika had her big win.
Nice.
At the, I think, he had the steady cam. He was right there. He was like basically in the hug. He was doing the hug cam, if you will, the celebration cam.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome assignment to get. Anyway, Trevor.
Yes, Trevor Williamson.
Trevor Williamson, what's his name?
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Didn't know he was as into hugs.
Well,
he's getting a big one when he gets
He's getting
back.
a huge one. He'll have a bunch of stories for us to come back. I usually call him Mr. Williamson in the back, and I pause there mostly because I usually look right at him and say it, and I looked and he was gone.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, it feels a little weird.
It's
but
a little different.
We'll get through it. Shout out to him, though, being on the road with the DGPT and doing a bunch of stuff. But we got a great episode, as you might have seen in the opening. Mr. Freeberg here has a little bone to pick, and I think it's one that we can all... I felt like we can all sort of like... I don't want to say we might not all agree with the heavy stance you might take, but we can all feel and understand where you're coming from.
I have a rant, baby.
Yeah, and it's on lost discs.
It's a lost disc rant.
You ever lose a disc? I've lost a disc.
We all lose.
We've all lose a disc.
That's part of the
happens.
game. That's part of disc.
Doesn't matter if it goes in a pond, left in a tree. A coyote might take it for hostage up in a tree. Might throw that photo right here.
Yeah, coyote with a disc in its mouth. So I lost a disc recently. Local course.
What course?
Local course. Live Oak.
Live Oak.
Live Oak Brewery.
Where'd you live?
Lost it on hole 18.
18. Old 18, new 18.
New 18.
Okay.
New 18. It was just an errant. It was a second throw. I shouldn't have thrown it. It was one of those, when you have a shit throw and then you rage a second throw.
Rage.
It was a rage throw, and it was bad, but it was in the middle of the field. Like, it was open.
Okay.
It was a brand new disc, which bothers me the most. It was right before the women's
was it for the USWDGC?
Yeah.
Was it for one of the flex starts?
It was after one of the flex starts. It was the Friday before it started.
Oh wow, okay.
And or maybe the Thursday, but either way, it was out in the open. It's got my name on it. It's a USWGDC disc. It
was the one you just got from one of the flex starts.
Yeah, it was the Pimp New Longhorn. Had my name on it, and Live Oak has a lost and found.
Yeah.
And we ended up running 2 rounds that day. Like, we did it, and like I did really bad, and we're like, let's run it back. And shout out to our boy Russ. He shot a -6 with just 2 discs out there.
Shout out Russ.
Yeah. But anyways, we went around. I was like, well, I lost it on 18. We'll scoop it up when we come back around. We went out, got back around, gone. It's like, well, surely it's in the lost and found, because the lost and found is literally 200-yard walk from hole 18, and it's not there. It was gone forever, and I'm mad about it. And I hope whoever has it and saw my name on it and didn't text me and didn't put it in the lost and found and didn't sit on top of the basket, I hope they get hemorrhoids, and I hope it hurts every time they poo for the rest of eternity.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of pain.
Yeah,
now,
poo pain.
what if? Can we play a thought experiment?
Yes, sir.
What if a newbie disc golfer who's just at the brewery, who just bought their first disc, went and played around, and then found your new Pimp Longhorn and just didn't quite know what to do? Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fair stance. recently lost a couple discs. Same. I had one guy even call me and say, "Hey, I'm putting it in the lost and found at Sprinkle Valley." He's like, "It'll be here. Just come get it." That's like, that's awesome. That's honestly the best case scenario. He doesn't have to don't have to track each other down. I go to Sprinkle Valley the next day. Guess what's not in Lost and Found? The zone that he sent a picture. He sent a picture of him putting it in Lost and Found. And then someone within 24 or I guess maybe 30 some hours found it in Lost and Found and decided that was theirs.
Hemorrhoids.
I'm actually skeptical. He was so overly communicative. He was like, "Here's a picture. Here's proof that I put it in.
Didn't even think about
I'm totally
that.
not stealing it. We're cool, bro."
Going back to it.
True.
Hemorrhoids.
But now I have his phone. He's still.
It's just a chance. There's a chance. I'm a conspiracy theorist.
There's
a chance.
I'm not.
Now,
I don't. Now you got me thinking.
Yeah. Can't trust anybody.
Now, also, I understand. I've found a lot of discs because I do spend a lot of time searching through the not fair way.
How do you get out there?
It's always, you throw poorly. It's really easy to do.
I've been,
It doesn't take practice at all.
Every other shot I throw.
But sometimes I find a disc, I'm like, homework.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want homework any more than the next guy. One of the things I do, and I think it's really cool. Maybe some people hate it. I will find it on the hole that it's at. I will take a picture of it and stash it somewhere, like kind of hidden.
I think that's the best way to do it.
And send a picture with like a little arrow pointing at the hidden spot. Yeah. It's like, I stashed it here. Come get it at your convenience.
I'll do one if it's at a local course here, C Right or Circle C. Disc Nation is on the way home from both of those.
Great
so
one.
I'll just drop it off at Disc Nation and tell them there. I've also picked up a couple discs from Disc Nation. Shout out Disc Nation.
Yeah.
I know sometimes you guys don't get the best reviews for whatever reason, but it's a huge service you do to the community and also smart business move to get people to come to the shop.
I worked at Disc Nation for a hot minute. And
totally forgot about that.
That used to be one of my things that I loved to do because you would get people that would bring in the discs. They'd bring it in. Hey, I found these lost discs. Here you go. Good karma. Sometimes they would buy something. Sometimes they wouldn't, sometimes they'd check the lost and found.
Yeah.
And then we would go through and call all the discs and we'd tell them, look, you got 2 weeks and then it's going in the used bin. And some people would be like, well, I lost it because it sucks. Go ahead and throw it in the used bin.
Yeah.
Some people would be like, I'll be in tomorrow, the next day, a week from now.
That's cool that you guys call people.
Yeah. They'd put a little, I'd put a little note on them. And then inevitably those people would come in. They'd get their disc that was lost, and then they would buy more. So it's a win-win. I think that's a really, especially if you're close by, that's a really cool thing to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, we'll put a link to this video down in the description, but there is a lawyer that has made he has a whole discgolf.com or discgolf.lawyer. What is his? I always forget.
Discgolf.law.com.
Discgolf.law.
Discgolf.law. Doug, I believe his name. I probably shouldn't even try to guess his name. Chris Clark. Sorry about that. Chris, we're really sorry about that, buddy. Rigdon's the man. That's why you have a good producer. Makes you feel smarter than you are. But he has a bunch of videos, discgolf.law, and one of them he talks about lost discs. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, legally, once you walk away from a disc, essentially, legally, it is not your disc anymore. So legally, we get it. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about legally. We're talking about, I would say, the spirit and karma of the game and of the sport. Like
hemorrhoids.
Yeah. I actually wouldn't wish hemorrhoids because I don't want to harm on people. But what I do hope is that people who appropriate discs and conveniently keep those discs that are clearly like that zone wasn't as like a one-of-one zone. Like I dyed it. It has been beaten in it's a one-of-one zone. Like if it was just some disc I just picked up as a common whatever, you lose discs. Yeah. It's when you keep someone else's thing and then that has kind of like your mojo on it almost, it feels like. Mm-hmm. And then you're trying to throw someone else's mojo. And that to me kind of feels gross. Like I couldn't imagine having a disc in my bag that had another guy's name on it that wasn't one of your guys' names that you're like, hey, Nick, throw this disc. I'm not throwing it, which we all friends do that all the time. It's probably the best part about disc golf friends is giving discs to each other. Like, oh, you might like this one, or this one didn't really work out for me. Maybe you can do this, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about that. What we're talking about is in your bag, you're throwing a disc
with somebody else's name on it that you didn't reach out to.
I hope forevermore, that disc finds every tree. And after it finds the first tree, I hope it goes so deep into whatever nastiness that can be found that you never find. I hope someone else finds that disc. That is more so what I wish. I don't really want them to have hemorrhoids because then, like, what if I have to use the bathroom after them and it's all bloody and I'm just not for me.
I've got a couple points before we move on.
Okay.
If you guys don't mind.
What you
Please,
got?
yeah.
I am
never.
thinking kind of a counterpoint to this. You
Okay.
should obviously return discs, but I have heard there are some regions of the country where discs aren't really returned. So if you live in that area and anytime you lose a disc, that community doesn't return your disc, I could understand how you might just be a little, hesitant to return. You're like, my discs never get returned. That's just what we do here. We don't return discs. So I'm not going to be the one that does it. I don't think
Where
I
are
would
these
do it
places?
that way. I don't know. I heard a rumor.
China,
I heard a rumor.
Mother Russia.
If I have a disc that I don't have my name on and I lose it, keep it. It's yours.
Absolutely.
Right? Like,
And
I
if
obviously
anything-
didn't care about
Yes.
enough
Yeah.
to put my name on.
Yes.
I also, though, sorry. Are you,
No. That's fine.
A cool story I had at Roy G. I lost a disc.
I lost a disc last time at Roy G too.
And it was another one that was a rage throw that I just left it. And it was in the middle of the thing. And I should know better. Usually when I get back to the car, I check and it's like, hey, something's missing. This time I was so hungry, I just left. But a guy found it, called me, was like, yo, I got your disc. I was like, yo, man, I'm having lunch. Can you stash it somewhere? Or I'll tell you what, if you bring it here, I'll buy you lunch. Shout out Little Deli. He was like, oh, I live north. I'm on my way. And
That's awesome.
he brought it by. I bought him a meatball sub at Little Deli.
That is what it's all about. That is disc golf.
We made friends. We exchanged numbers. We'll play together eventually. Like that's what disc golf is about. That's what I love about the disc golf community.
Couldn't agree more. Rigdon, where are those places that people don't do that? Because I don't want to go there.
I don't know. It was one of those things that I heard from somebody sometime.
Like
and
New Mexico?
As soon as you questioned me on it, I was like, it's probably all bullshit. I don't know.
I don't think that's I could imagine that being some places, 1,000%.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I don't ever go
Fair.
play those
Fair.
places.
My guess would be it would be where the community is maybe not they don't maybe play as many
as tight.
tournaments. They're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
as tight. Just a bunch of individual disc golfers that are a little more selfish, and it's just kind of get that reputation of, well, I lose a disc, it doesn't get returned, so why am I going to do that for somebody else?
And I don't want to get too biblical here, but I believe it was Jesus maybe it wasn't Jesus, but someone in the big book said, do unto others as you want done unto you, and not do unto others as they make you feel shitty, because that makes a pretty shitty world.
That's why I give such great hugs.
Yeah, he does. He does give good
I
hugs.
want hugs.
Started to get weird and biblical there. It's just coming off the rims of Easter. I had a bunch of hard-boiled eggs that were colored. I'm just thinking crazy here.
A little bit of that Easter energy.
Yeah, you get it.
Last thing though, I want to say
Your
about
disc
that-
comes back in 3 days.
I got one more.
Like a good ham. Digestively.
Last thing I wanted to say was when you throw a second shot, remember that and don't go get your disc, because usually when I lose a disc, I throw a second shot and I just leave it on the ground. So do yourself a favor, and if you throw a second shot, just make sure you pick it up so you don't lose it in the first place.
That's some of my own bad karma. You shouldn't throw a second rage shot.
You shouldn't. And you know what else you shouldn't do? You shouldn't, after you miss a putt, throw a roller to the next tee box and have it go in the woods behind the tee box, and then think possibly that the guys on the tee box threw your disc in the woods. Because that probably didn't happen either. Because when you get in the car and you start driving, you start thinking about stuff and you go, oh, wait a second. I probably threw a little roller up towards there. And I do remember it going off into the woods on the left-hand side.
I was about to fight guys for you.
Yeah, I wasn't so sure. And you said that, and I was like, God, we're going to fight. And I'm not even 100% sure. I just knew I had it. And we walked like a straight line.
I hope none of those
and in
guys
that
got the
straight line,
hemorrhoids I wished upon them.
they shouldn't have. Those guys are cool. Shout out to whatever group of 8 was on Sprinkle yesterday on 17-18. They were very nice to let us play through, even though when we played through, all but one of us hit first available, and then they were so unimpressed that they were like, "No, they're never going to throw to us here on the second shot." Just play, just go ahead.
You're right. We're just standing here, never going to get here.
And then with the gallery, I think we went 0 for 3 on the island. But then I think outside of a couple weird bumps, we all played 18 good enough. I think it's very clear that all of us can get 18s.
Yeah.
All of us can par 18.
It's possible.
We all
Everyone
showed
can
that
par
it was
18.
possible.
Yeah.
You're the only one who did it. Or no, you didn't.
No, I didn't do it. I had to throw a deep circle too as a chance. That was it felt possible is all I meant.
Yeah, I agree.
Not as impossible as it kind of seemed. It even feels like with a lucky second shot, birdie's not out of the question. You just got to penetrate into the woods.
Got to place your shots.
But we won't
Standard
we won't go too long on that course because we'll talk about it here in our next segment, the Texas Loop. Now, if you're not familiar with the Texas Loop, the Disc Golf Pro Tour comes through Texas every spring, starts in Waco. Then we get them here in Austin for the Open. We were lucky this year. We got the USW DGC the very next week in Austin. And then the next week we get the Texas States in Houston. That's almost 6 weeks of disc golf coverage all right here in our backyard.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure any place else in the country gets this spoiled for a month and a half.
I played so much disc golf last month. Like it was like the spring break of disc golf. It was amazing.
Yeah, and it was always cool to know that like, oh, such and such just played this course or played the flex or whatever. Like it's very cool to go play a flex and see Big Germ has just played it.
Just out hanging out.
Yeah. A lot of guys were out playing some of the courses we love. Roy G, I guess Sprinkle wasn't really available. Circle C, C Right. A lot of guys made it down to the Armadillo. Those gems that we all love, it's kind of awesome to see Eagle McMahon playing Zilker Park saying it's his favorite fun course in all of America. And that's the course we get to play weekly in league. Yeah. Not a bad scene. But the Texas Loop concluded here with with Houston. And as far as fantasy goes, had another big win for Anthony Barella, Mr. AB.
AB getting it done this year. It's his coming out party. No, that's not right. Coming of age.
He's definitely. It feels like he's in his maturity mode. Like he had all the same shots last year. He just didn't have like maybe the mental game to hold it all together. And it feels like he has the confidence now to just make it happen. And speaking of confidence, Gannon Burr does not lack confidence.
Did you see that last round of his? Was it minus 15 or something ridiculous?
He missed one birdie from the course record. I think he had maybe 9 or 10 straight at one point, but he made it a game so that the last throw on the last hole mattered. I mean, that to go from 6 back to it comes down to the last throw on the last hole. Come on. I mean, AB was not, I mean, he was giving him a few favors. He felt like he threw a little. I feel like I kind of relate. Like sometimes when you throw a little lazily and it just comes out a little wrong when you're like trying not to throw it too hard, when really like the same thing that's got you to that point is probably the thing you should keep doing. I feel like it doesn't matter if you're down on our level or if you're up playing AB. That's probably a takeaway. But
tell you who else looked really good was your boy Mason Ford. Our boy Mason Ford.
Shout out local legend Mason Ford. Kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have the biggest arm, but he is ruthlessly accurate.
Yeah.
Like the guy just shreds the middle all the time. He makes maybe 20% more putts. He's in the mix here. Like
he's in the mix as it is.
Yeah. I mean, well, what I'm saying is like everyone that wasn't AB and Gannon were kind of out of the mix, halfway through the second round. Yeah.
Fair.
But I guess what I mean is he's right there. Like it felt like he was ready to come out maybe when the season started, but like he's proven it like every week.
Yeah.
I think some people were giving him the credit that he's playing in Texas, but like Jonesboro is going to play a lot like these last 2 courses next week. I feel like he's going to be just fine there. It doesn't require a lot of distance. And then he heads up to Illinois, right? Which is another similar wooded course. Watch out for Mason Ford being another couple top 10s.
High hopes for him. I did. I made a smart move. I texted Rigdon. This was legit, and was like, I gotta sit my boy Paul McBeth.
Ooh, and you got Matty O.
Throw Matty O in.
Smart.
And Matty O had a little chaos golf, but getting it done. 4th place, pretty solid.
I think he just had a rough little run. He really played consistently all weekend. He just had that one little rough bubble where like he couldn't seem to like get himself together of that one round, and then everything else he played exceptional, especially the last day. Simon though just can't seem to put it together, can he?
Yeah. He's got to figure some things out.
It's real tough.
So where we at? Did you do points as well on this? Or
I did points.
Oh, the commission.
You can see the points on the screen. We've got totals from the Open at Austin. I want to highlight the fact that I got the most points at the Open at Austin just because I think I am last place in points for all the other tournaments we've done. So everybody can see the point totals here. Still very competitive, honestly.
Trevor, yeah, very competitive. Trevor, though, let me see his lineup real quick. Is that okay?
Yeah.
How do we do that?
He's been crushing it.
Oh,
Gannon.
yeah, he had Gannon, Emerson, and Missy. Yeah.
He's got the Gannons. Team Gannon.
Missy Gannon Burr. That's a funny thing.
Yeah.
If they were sponsored by the same company, that would be an endless, I would never stop making that commercial.
Gannon and Gannon.
Missy Gannon Burr.
Yeah. Missy Gannon Burr never misses.
Let's maybe we take all that out because that's a good pitch. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Just Gannon Burr with a wig, trying to be shorter, and then we put Missy Gannon in stilts
Really
and put her hair up in her head.
Yeah, I'm
and
on
then,
board again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm back on it. I was
basically, how many discs do you want to sell? Man, yeah, Trevor's team super solid. Emerson Keith, Bradley Williams, both in Texas, not crushing, but Holland Hanley, another smart Texas pull there.
And that's
Freeberg.
Yeah. We got rigged in here. I've got Bradley Williams. He's got Williamson has Emerson Keith.
Kat Murch is so good, but she has, I think, concentration issues. She's having fun, but I feel like sometimes when she's not playing well, she starts being goofy. So the camera stays on her or whatever, and I don't know. I feel like almost like she's trying to sell more discs than she is trying to win, which I feel like she would punch me in the face if I said that to her face. She would go, "Oh, really? Boom!" and then step on me as she walked away.
It's been fun to watch though. Maybe
she runs shots and she tries to hit lines that no one else tries to hit, which is why I picked her. So I'm not really complaining. It's just I wonder sometimes if some of the theatrics is getting in the way of focus.
And so can we go back to the points?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Where were we at with points? Trevor's winning.
Trevor's up 15-91.
Not even here. Is winning. Ooh,
Shout out
it's
Trevor.
Still anybody's game right now.
Oh, very much. Very, very much. I mean, look how many points you get in an event.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Huge turn.
So
and especially, I mean, as wide open as FPO is, obviously, I guess that's another thing we talk about. Someone who's never been in the top 10 ever, never played a 1,000 rated round in her life, played 3,000 rated rounds and won FPO this weekend. Not only won, she was tied with Kristen Tatar through 11, and then lost a stroke to her on 12. Came back on 13, birdied a hole that Kristen didn't, and then they went birdie for 6 holes.
Yeah.
Until the last hole where Tatar basically threw out of bounds, and she could, she took a par, but she could lay up for that par. Incredible victory. Not only the play, but the mental fortitude of seeing. It's back when Ricky used to surge, and it would just scare players, and they would start, putting shaky. Kristen has that same effect, and wow, did Annika and Steen.
Annika Steen.
Steen.
Annika Steen.
The name looks a little different than what we want to say in America, but but the Norwegians are. I mean, everyone from the Great North is obviously very good at disc golf, but Norway's very first champion of, I think, anything disc golf. And let's be honest, she
that
was.
a baller win.
Did you get to see her at all at USW DGC?
No, actually, I didn't. I didn't see her when I was out there.
She was on one of my cards. The sweetest.
Really?
Absolutely the
Rad.
sweetest. Yeah.
Rad. That's cool. And let's not forget my girl Owen Scoggins. She's hanging in, man.
Not only hanging in, she used to be the top fiver that you just always knew was in the mix, but didn't ever think was gonna flush. Now every time you're what's she gonna do?
Does she got this one again too? I love the little video she put out too. She's like, if I win, I'm gonna celebrate with some beer. If I lose, maybe I'll celebrate with some beer.
I think anytime she's got a mic in front of her, everyone should take a second and just listen, because top 5 personalities in disc golf easily. She's great. So I guess with the fantasy numbers, right now we got Trevor in first. Looks like me in second, then Freeberg third, and Rigdon, the commissioner.
The commish.
Now, there's one thing I wanted to bring up. I have a player who is not going to be playing for most of the season, and I'm wondering, is there going to be an opportunity where we can maybe trade a player? And if we do, how would we go about doing that?
Like a waiver wire. I think that we should maybe we should each get to draft one more player. maybe wait till Trevor's back for that.
That makes sense. I mean, we could kind of do it virtually too. We could just maybe draw for order, or whoever's in last could maybe go first. I don't know.
No, I think that's the fair way to do it. I think
Yeah.
if we'd open the waiver wire, last place gets the first move, second to last gets the second move, and then you do it like that. And then I think you just limit how many times you can do that, right? Like, because you couldn't do that. That'd be kind of excessive to do it every week, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should have set that before we started the season, but we can just throw it in there.
Yeah,
Maybe
we'll figure it
every
Luckily,
couple
it's
weeks.
an intermediate level fantasy league. So
Intermediate level.
We're
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
it right. We're doing it the right way.
Yeah, the right way for us.
Yeah.
What's right for you.
Well, speaking of doing what's right, we do have one last topic to bring up that we were both a witness to, and something we actually found in the rule books to be, something that's probably worth talking about. So every now and then when you're playing a rated round, and this is much different than playing a casual round. A casual round, I would encourage you to do what's in your heart and
Take rage throws.
literally do anything that makes you happy or has you playing the most fun game of disc golf you can.
Do silly shit.
In a rated round, I don't know if you've been there. I've been there where it just wasn't your day, where maybe you just ran out of gas on a second round. Shout out me up at, where was that, Benbrook?
Benbrook.
Yeah.
Didn't know how to handle the wind. That was me at Moody's.
Moody's, your second Moody's,
First
Moody's.
Yeah, and the wind.
But either way,
Yeah.
we all find ourselves in a rated round struggling. It's a reason why your rating is based over 100 rounds, I think. Is that correct? The
think
last
it's-
100 rounds?
Is it just a year?
It's the last year.
Year.
It has to be, I
Unless
think,
you
at
have-
least like 8 or 12. But it's the last year.
But if
Yeah.
maybe I read it wrong.
peak out?
So-
Yeah,
but it's a
it could-
year's worth of ratings, right? It's not just
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a ton. I think we've averaged collectively 40, 50 rated rounds a year. Last couple of years, maybe
I've
more.
gone up a
Yeah.
lot lately, yeah, as
I was
far
saying
as how
collectively,
many
maybe
Yeah,
you're probably the
collectively,
peak.
probably about
Rigdon probably, and I'm sorry, probably somewhere in the middle. But either way, you're out there and you're playing a rated round. We're kind of beating around the bush. It's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I apologize for the longevity of getting into tanking rounds.
Tanking.
And that's what we're talking about. Tanking around. Intentionally playing poorly so that your rating falls so low that it is removed from your rating scale.
And that's to say the PDGA, if you're 100 points below your rating, and stop me if I'm wrong, or
2.5 times your
2.5 times
Standard
your
deviation, yeah.
deviation, then the round will drop.
Right. So meaning if you were and no one in this room is, we'll just use it for easy numbers, but if you're a 1,000 rated player and you played an 880 round, that would be dropped from consideration because it's outside of deviation. Now, if your standard deviation is about 50 points or 2.5 times your standard is 50 points for some reason, and you played a 948 round, that would also drop because it's outside of
Your deviation. Yeah.
Your
you
deviation.
always are throwing about 1,000.
Exactly. Now, that will still come into play in configuring your deviation in the long term. So meaning if you play 10 rounds in a row that are all 948,
Yeah.
obviously your deviation has changed. Those rounds will start counting, yada, yada, yada. But it's how some pros kind of keep their 1,000 rated rounds high. Not saying that they tank by any means, but like usually when you have an off round as a pro, that means just taking like 4 bogeys and not getting a lot of birdies. And that's automatically going to make your round around a 900, 9 something. Usually those rounds they kind of drop. Now, if you're an intermediate player and you're, let's
Like
say,
us.
floating around the 900,
850
to 900 range, somewhere around, let's say even call it 850 to 950. That's probably a good window to talk. I would call it questionable, honorable to tank around in general, but we actually did a little bit of research, and it turns out PDGA wrote an article about 10 years ago and highlights section 3.3B13 of the competition manual, which talks about deliberately seeking to manipulate one's player rating through intentional misplay or withdrawal.
Yeah.
So what does this mean? What this means is if you are intentionally playing below your rating, meaning like if you are, let's say on hole 8 or 9 and you take a couple doubles and you just go, you know what, for the rest of this round, I'm purposely tanking.
I'm not going to make any putts today.
Let's say you intentionally throw it out of bounds on the tee, or you just throw a shot in front of you. You're clearly intentionally not playing the game the way it's meant to be played. Let's say you just rage throw a putt in hopes to 5 or 6 putt, whatever the tactic is.
Yeah.
It's very clear to the rest of the card that you're doing so. And in some cases, and I'm embarrassed to say, like, I've been on a card where someone has just intentionally made it very clear out loud, said to everyone, I am tanking on purpose. And I mean, 8 holes later, you're like, what are we giving this person? Like, what even was the theatrics that he went through to get a 9 or an 8 or a 10 or whatever? It felt gross the whole time. You don't really know what to do because you don't necessarily want to be a tattletale. And even though it felt wrong, it didn't necessarily feel against the rules. Then
we looked this up.
We looked this up. We did just a little bit of research, and shout out Rigdon for doing a little bit of the, the research. But the bottom line is typically you can DNF from a round if you have a injury, and your injury can be any number of things. Like you can literally have a migraine headache. Mm-hmm. You can have a sore elbow. You can literally have any ailment. All you have to do is say, I am not able to play because my arm is sore. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I don't even know if this is true, but it feels true. If you are mentally not doing well that day, if you're having a bad mental health day, I couldn't imagine that wouldn't be somewhat included. I'm not sure.
The PDGA doesn't necessarily want that either.
I don't think so.
I am way more for, because you can't prove a migraine.
Right.
Nobody can check your
You also can't really prove if your shoulder just got pulled or, but at least that is somewhat going through the hoops of like legitimacy. I also don't I've finished plenty of rounds I probably shouldn't have finished because I felt obligated and I didn't feel like out at Benbrook, do you don't think I wanted to quit that round? But every single hole I just said, you can find a way to par. Just find a way. You don't have to throw just find a way in 4 shots, in 3 shots, just to get it in the basket. You're not playing your game today. Yeah. That is out. Find a way like you did when you first started. Just limp out. Just get through it.
Well, I'm a big, I like the vibe. Like when you're on a card, the vibe, and I got to watch myself too, because I've had a couple bad rounds where I think that I get kind of cranky, and I think it fucks up the vibe, and I don't want to be the guy that messes up the vibe.
I think it's the thing I'm most worried about when I'm playing bad is how can I
not affect other people?
Everyone else? Yeah, absolutely.
And so like, if you're having a bad round and you're starting to lose your shit a little bit, I'm all for a DNF. Like go ahead and leave before you fuck up my good time too. Like
that's where my head is on that as well.
I think, and I haven't had that, at least not that I've known, where somebody was intentionally kind of tanking. But I think that would mess with the vibe more. Now I have had somebody that's really good playing just better than me and talking about how garbage it was. And that bothered me a lot because it's like, bro, you're beating me by 4 strokes and you keep talking about what garbage you are. What does that say about me?
Well, sadly, it doesn't say anything about you. That's just someone dealing with their own anxiety. But I agree that is probably the more determining factor. Like, how are you impacting the other people trying to do their best? And if you're negatively impacting people trying to do their best, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, so what's supposed to happen, and this is another thing that Rigdon, please step in and let me know if we're messing anything up that you've said. But typically, if you get a DNF, the TD is supposed to give you a 999.
And that's if you go to him and say, "Hey,
right."
I quit.
And here's an example that happened with me. I arrived late to a tee time. The tournament director told me to tee off just with the next group because they were a group of 3 on the next division up. Mm-hmm. I played that whole tournament incorrectly, even though the tournament director is the one that told me to regardless, I played it incorrectly. I got 999'd in my round didn't count. I didn't win that tournament. I would have beaten fucking Mr. Deadman at Pecan City. Shout out Tracy. Thanks again for the
awesome as disc.
Yeah. But and I had to go birdie to end the round to beat him too. And it was such a shreddy day of disc golf for me.
Yeah.
And anyway, but the fucking rule was I shouldn't have played that. And it just, unfortunately, doesn't matter whose fault. Triple nine.
The rule was a rule.
And it sucks, but it doesn't necessarily affect your rating, is what I'm saying. But you can get 999 a few different ways. Now, tournament directors are supposed to, instead of 999ing person, you're actually supposed to get an 888.
And that's if they suspect you're doing it on purpose.
Well, right. And that would be very easy to clear up by just asking the card. Now, if I'll be honest with you, if the tournament director came to me and said, Nick, did you notice this person doing this? I would not feel comfortable answering that by myself. I would want to answer that as a card or as a group, decide that, because it also feels just as gross calling someone on that as it does to like go about it.
Well, nobody wants to, like, if you're already having a bad day, I don't want to shit on somebody's
exactly. Like you're already in a mental state where you're like going to, I don't know. Anyway,
did you have something to add to this?
well, they're supposed to get a 888. That's what you just highlighted here. And so instead of getting the 999, which doesn't affect your rating, a 888,
5 points off your rating,
5 points down for those 6 months. So let's say you're rated again a 900. You're, no matter how you play, you could, let's say you played 5 rounds and your next rating jump was supposed to bring you to a 903. Well, you're actually a 880 or 898 because it's your rating -5 for 6 months.
And that was the weird thing we were talking about earlier, right, Rigdon, where playing down a division.
But it won't, right? So you can't sandbag with it, right?
Yeah. So if it takes you down to a lower division, then it actually doesn't give you that penalty. So that's to ensure that people don't use it to sandbag to go down to a lower division.
Right. So I can imagine if you were trying to play in like NADGT and you were a middle of the road MA1, but we're just over 930 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Sandbagging a couple rounds to get to like 928, playing an MA2, trying your best to dominate, something like that.
They try to get it. It seems like it'd be such an easy thing for the PDGA to check, though. Like I feel like if you could end tanking rounds just by not dropping them.
The whole tanking and DNF thing, I don't want to like put a button on it or just say like, and that's it seems like a more gray area thing. But ratings they're not everything of disc golf. They're a little part of disc golf. It's not inconsequential, but it's something that is only accurate if accurate data is being put in. There's a thing in it doesn't matter if you're a journalist getting news on a story or if you're a mathematician trying to figure out how to get to the moon with a rocket, you have to have a data set. And that data set is only valuable if it's accurate. If you're making decisions with an inaccurate data set, this is exactly why systems don't work. And it feels like it's not in spirit of the game. Yeah. So like, are there a dozen rounds I wish I could just but that wouldn't be accurate to my disc golf journey. That's not accurate to who I am. That's not accurate to the possibility of.
I also think people put too much credit to the ratings.
Like
ratings are ratings. Like if I have an 880 or an 875 rating, like it's I'm still going to be able to poop that night when I get home.
And it's also just like a measuring stick. Like, and the fact of the matter is, most people, if you're rating, let's say again, arbitrary numbers, if your rating's a 900, chances are, if you've been playing for a while, you're actually been playing like 920, 930 golf because that's what it takes to raise your rating up to like. So you're always should be playing theoretically better than your rating anyway. So your rating isn't an indication of like what you should score or how you should score. It really just shows a reflection of like your journeying to that point. The only way that's really accurate is if it has all the data points. Now, we know some people who kind of pick and choose their tournaments and only play certain times, certain places, certain wind conditions.
Play below that rating.
Yeah. But that day we went out and played Roy G, did I not say on the way out, say, hey man, if it's raining cold, I am not going to play this round. I'm not going to start it. I'm not going to play it. And if it means anything, I'm not doing that in the future. I'm not setting myself up for failure for a rated round. If the three of us are playing a casual round, let's go shred. I don't care. Like yesterday at Sprinkle was as much fun as I can have playing disc golf. 3 good friends, throwing a bunch of shots on an awesome course. Let's go.
On a perfect day.
Perfect day. It's not, maybe a little muggy.
Little muggy.
It was a little muggy. Humidity, maybe 10% too much. But you get what I'm saying. In a tournament round, if you're like, like this weekend is the Red Rock show.
Red Rock show coming up this weekend.
If I play Thursday and I throw my arm out and I'm feeling like hell on Friday, guess who's not playing on Saturday? Me. Guess who will just wait and hopefully play a casual? It's not even. You just withdraw. As long as you don't start, you can withdraw. Guess what? I'm not playing any more tournaments. Hurt or like in the rain. If I sign up for a 3-day and one of the rounds is in the rain, we're all playing in the rain. But what I mean is like if it's a flex start and I'm like getting done with work and hustling out the live oak and it's pouring rain, I'm like, what am I doing here? Yeah, I'm just not going to go that day. You know, we don't need to do it every time.
Special shout out to Red Rock. Red Rock is very special to me. That is where I met Mr. Rigdon.
Hey,
Last year. It was earlier last year. It was like March.
It was in March.
yeah, it was a little earlier
It was
in the
in
year.
March. But yeah, I played really good the first round. And I think I was on your card.
Yeah, I think we played together.
And,
yeah.
and we tied, but your rating, or maybe I was one stroke back, but you guys went on to the lead card. And I went on to the second card.
I remember.
And I remember on the chase card, I was like, man, I'm better than these guys. What the hell's going on? and then I was last on the card. Like the second round, I was, So then I was on the third card, I don't know what the chase card.
Yeah.
And I was on that card with Rigdon, and I told him that story, and he was like, what the hell, man? And I was like, no, obviously, I had to eat some humble pie for dinner last night.
Yeah.
And,
That's really funny.
Yeah, and we played okay, but neither of us played as good as we wanted to. And afterwards, I was like, I'm gonna go try to get this shit round taste out of my mouth at Northtown. You want to go? And he was like, fuck yeah. And
On Sunday after the third round?
yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome.
And then best friends next day. He wasn't quite ready for it the next day, but he eventually came around. The joke was, he was like, that's too much, Freeberg.
A little too soon.
But yeah.
What's when you get the whole
super
third
quiet
knuckle inserted into...
No third knuckles.
Okay, second knuckle. My bad. We got him, folks. The goal every episode now is to get Freeberg that red and laughing that hard.
That's how you get hemorrhoids.
Hey, full circle.
Full circle. And that's a professional way to go around. We do have, I know a lot of our viewers, all 100 of them, a lot of you guys are here in Central Texas. And just as a big heads up, here are some of the tournaments coming up in Central Texas. I'm sure Mr. Rigdon can throw a quick graphic up. We got the Red Rock Show coming up this weekend out at Moody's. So that'll be in just a couple days. I think there's
6th and 7th.
6th and 7th. There's already over 100 people signed up for that one. So Moody's Disc Golf Campus, or what does he call it? Not campus, but disc golf.
Disc golf resort.
Resort. It truly is a resort. I do know the cabin is available. The guy who's renting the cabin just reached out to the disc golf scene and said anyone looking to rent it can rent it.
Nice.
I was thinking about it because it's my birthday on Thursday, so I was thinking about maybe doing. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Happy early birthday.
Thanks, buddy. But then the very next week, we have the Republic of Texas Open, which is down at the Flying Armadillo. Ryan McCrary, he runs that. I believe it's sponsored by Michelob, but it's Flying Armadillo. Not a lot of people signed up for that one yet, but we played in that one last year. It's a really fun tournament. You always have good stuff there. And Flying Armadillo, you can't really beat it.
It's always fun out there.
But the next week, the one I'm very excited for, the one I think all of Central Texas is excited for, Capital of Texas Open. Now, most people are going to play these courses: Sprinkle Valley, Met Center, Roy G. Is there anything? I mean, this is what you come to play disc golf for. You get those three courses in an A tier. Come on.
Yeah, big A tier. Another one coming up, same week of the Republic, Texas, is going to be the Wildflower Open.
Oh, that's the same weekend of Republic?
Yeah.
Oh, didn't mean to skip over that.
That's put on by our buddy Nate Tucker.
Shout out, Nate. We'll have you on the episode, or maybe even next week.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully next week.
See what we can do. But that one's going to be up at the at Chapel Hill in
Georgetown. Awesome new course. Georgetown, I haven't been up there. Is that one day, right?
It's just one day. That's
one day.
Saturday.
Awesome day trip up there. If you're even wanted to go up there, like, to explore. Georgetown's a fun place just to go play your round disc golf, go grab dinner, explore. They got a bunch of cool shops, a really cool downtown. That is going to be a good tournament, especially if Georgetown is from Austin 45?
North, yeah.
Yeah. So any place from, I mean, if you're College Station, Dallas, Fort Worth, or in the North Austin area, that's an easy commute. It's probably 45 minutes from here, right? Maybe an hour from here.
No, it's probably an hour from here.
Yeah, maybe even a half hour from like where you are up there, right?
From up north. But so that could be our north one. And then doing the Republic of Texas, that could be our south one.
Yeah.
Then you got to pick which one. Both sound pretty fun.
I mean, I think that's one of those ones you just go to the one that's closer, right?
Yeah.
Like draw a Mason-Dixon line, everyone.
But shout out, Central Texas having so many options. That's really bitching for us. It's really lucky to.
I did a thing.
We have.
I looked around other areas. I did a search on ours, and I was surprised at how many A tiers and B tiers we have. And I was like, well, let me pick another disc golf hub. So I checked Charlotte. Not as many. Not a lot of sanctioned tournaments.
Wow.
Checked up in Maine, New Hampshire area. not, I mean, don't know. There's a lot of leagues. You find a lot of leagues, a lot of like weekly things, but not a lot of sanctioned tournaments. Buddy of mine, shout out Michael in South Carolina. I looked at just how many NADGT qualifiers he has. He's only got a couple to qualify at. He plans on qualifying and coming out here playing in MA1. But
Heck yeah.
I feel like we have.
Yeah,
I'm not even worried about NADGT because it's like if I want to play, there'll be a dozen
15 qualifiers within an hour of
between
the house.
now and then. Yeah, it's
yeah.
almost spoiled.
I'll play a few extras if I qualify, so that I can create an extra spot for my other friends that
That's
are trying to qualify.
nice guy.
You know
Very
what I
nice
mean?
guy.
Like also disc golf tournament.
Yeah, also just another raid around. And they usually, NADGT usually has some pretty good stuff. Like that stamp they had for the Premier Open in Austin, pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Also got my shirt finally from that. Like did you get yours?
Oh yeah, I almost wore it today.
Nice.
They're loud and proud. I'll probably wear it at the next tournament. It's a I don't know if I should go to Miami or what, but it's out there. It's good.
I never got my shirt for that one.
Ever?
I ended up because they just never had XL for fat people. So I ended up getting a disc and then like a t-shirt.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was a dry fit t-shirt and also it looks like a highlighter. Like when I'm going to wear that when I'm going somewhere where I want you guys to find me because you will be able to see it.
Well, here's the real question. This is a Freeberg disc golf shirt. What are the odds, Rigdon, that it still has the sleeves on it?
Realistically, I think that it does, but probably in the next couple months it will not.
100% only because I haven't worn it yet.
Yeah, there we go.
100%. I actually wanted to wear these cool new Team Potato ones that I got. They're not new. They're actually super old. This is the OG Team Potato for my video game Smite that I played. But I made a bunch of them, and I really had to dig today to find one that had sleeves because most of them.
I think the only thing you can count on at a tournament Freeberg's there is if the sun's out, the guns are out. Absolutely. All right. Well, if you see us out at any one of the local courses, we'll be playing. I think you'll be at Red Rock this weekend.
Definitely, we're all going to be at Red Rock.
Yeah,
we'll
all be at Red Rock this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if maybe we can get up to
Georgetown.
Especially if it's a single day, I could see that
Saturday.
for sure. And then Kodo, I know
for sure
we're doing Kodo, and then I don't know, we'll figure out the next month when we take a look at it. But
There's lots of stuff.
think about that's just in April. We've got 2 B tiers and an A tier.
Yeah,
Let's
bing,
go.
bing, bing. Just
and
like that.
Still got our Fuego Fridays. You know what I kind of miss? Put in work Wednesdays. Those are fun flex starts. You used to get a Wednesday flex start, Thursday league, Friday flex start, and then whatever was going on the weekend.
Yeah. And then
awesome.
Monday you'd have to ice your elbow because you threw too much.
Elbow, inner groin, feet, shoulder, whatever this is here that hurts when you just are doing
the
too
more
much
shit
stuff.
I gotta ice.
Yeah.
It's the tubs.
All right. Well, from all of us here at the Barely Stable podcast, we appreciate you tuning in. I'm sure there's our social media or something in this area. But you can find us everywhere. We're always posting something. If you haven't seen Rigdon's timed holes on Instagram yet, he just did one with Freeberg where they race each other. And it's pure cinematic gold. I don't even want to ruin it for you, but check us out on Instagram. Give us a follow. And
Should we also tease? We did a little package. Me and Rigdon jammed up to.
Oh, that's
Curveball.
right. That's gonna totally
Yeah.
forgot about it. Yeah. We got to tease that real quick. I'm sorry. Before we get out of here, where did you guys go shoot up north?
Yeah, we went up. We went actually. Is it northeast? We went to Kerrville.
Kerrville, right?
Played a little 9-hole course. He played through twice. It was a doubles thing. I played with my big brother Casey. We were the Bro-Tatoes.
Bro-Tato.
And we put a little package together. Do you want to just throw it in right here?
Disc golf is alive and well in small town Texas, and my big brother wanted to prove this to me, so he signed me up for a doubles tournament in Kerrville, and I went down to see what it was all about.
I think we started this event last year in hopes of just trying to get the city to build our own 18-hole course. And I think last year we started the Kerrville Disc Golf Group page on Facebook, and we actually grew to like 250 members. So hopefully this year we can add to that. We added more teams this year. It was a lot more popular. We filled up teams like a month out.
Everybody's always looking for nice places, and this is bitchin'. Like, it looks really cool. I'm excited to play it.
It's a super nice area. We just got to get an actual full 18-hole course here, which is crazy that we don't, considering how big of a town this is. Like Junction has
Junction
like three 18-hole courses, and we have one 9-hole on the college campus. So it's about time that we get one going. So
Nice. So we're excited. I know Big Brother was pumped to have one where I had to drive the 2-hour trip instead of him to play a tournament. That's awesome. Well, we're excited to play. Casey has only been playing for about 7 months now, but he's been putting in work, and you can see with this one that he laces down the line there and just absolutely parks that it's been paying off. He's also been working on his putts, and he was able to put away a solo birdie on hole 1. We started out pretty hot. I came out, wanted to contribute on the second one. Was able to get this one pin high, but it left us with a super long putt. Fortunately, I was able to represent. I also have been practicing, even though it doesn't always show. It showed right here. It was a dewy morning, and the rubber tee pads got a little slick, so we ended up throwing from the side a lot. Still super impressive that they had tee pads at all, considering the course was installed by Boy Scouts. Tee pads are not required for putting, though, and we were on early. This was a little 9-hole course, so we played 2 rounds, one from the shorts, one from the longs. And we got through the first round bogey-free, thanks in part to some big putts by Casey. Round 2 from the longs was quite a bit tougher. It made it kind of a bomber course out there. You can see this one was about 80 feet further back than the shorts. Fortunately, I was able to get a really good shot and put that one right under the bucket. Set myself up for an easy birdie on hole 2 again. Had the Corvette out there putting in work. We ended up falling just short of our bogey-free goal, and we were 2 strokes out of the lead when it was all said and done. Had a great time out there. Highly recommend checking out Hypernova Disc Golf and the Shriner University Disc Golf course if you're ever out Kerrville area. I'm Daniel Freeberg. This is the Barely Stable Podcast.
For all of us here at Barely Stable, Rigdon in the back, Trevor out on the road. I'm Nick Barr. This is Daniel Freeberg.
Just be cool.
Peace.
Time, weather, and always pass. Case